Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Dr. Aisha Salim Al-Dahri, and I will be presenting the Distinguished Project today, and we will take you over the criteria and each criteria, how we can understand it, how we can apply and submit our application to the system of Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Foundation. I will give you, of course, in the beginning, a history about the Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Foundation, the history in terms of how they started, when they started, and now where they stand. Also, the leadership behind this organization. We will talk about the Distinguished Project. We will define what do we mean about Distinguished Project. Later on, we will learn the different element of the evaluation. We have three major elements, and what is the total point. I will take you through the steps that you need to consider when you apply and submit your application. Let us start. We are in the cycle 23 from the year 2020-2021. So today we will discuss the evaluation criteria for Distinguished Project. Before we start, I would like to give you some information about the foundation. And as you know, it's Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Foundation for the Distinguished Academic Performance, under the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai and Minister of Finance for the United Arab Emirates. The foundation has started in Dubai in the year of 1998, and it was the first educational award specialized in educational excellence in the United Arab Emirates. They undertake the task of improving educational performance at all levels and sectors that belong under the Ministry of Education, as well as any approved and recognized organization by the country. Let's see how when they started as a foundation. We just mentioned they started in Dubai in the year of 1998. Then they expanded until they reach the worldwide or globally in the year of 2009. So after 1 year of the establishment of the foundation, they expanded their activities to include all the 7 emirates from the country. Later on, in 2003, they start accepting application and submission from any country that belong to the Gulf Cooperative Council state. And later on, in 2006, they start accepting application related to research from any country that belong under the Arab world. And this was expanded globally. The research award was expanded globally to cover the global in 2019 under one criteria, or under one criteria, which is the research by UN UNESCO. If we look at the award categories, here I'm presenting only 9. But in general, there are also, we can include as number 10, the UN UNESCO Research Award. But let me take you over the first 9 award category. We have some of them, they are local, others, you can see here, we wrote here Gulf countries. In this one, we wrote Gulf and local and Gulf countries. So some of the award categories, they are dedicated for submission only from the country. Other, we expanded the application to be received from the different Gulf countries. And as we said earlier, we have two research-related award category. One, we accept application from the different countries of the Arab world, and another one from the global, from any country in the world. So if we look at the award categories, we have Distinguished Student Award from grade or level 3 to 5 and level 6 to 12. And this one is dedicated for local submission. We have also the Distinguished Student Award for the Gulf region, Gulf countries, which is eligible for those students from level 10 and 12. We have the Distinguished Academic Award, Distinguished Teacher Award, and we can accept application from the country, from the Gulf and from the Gulf countries. We have the Distinguished Educator Award, local, this one, and Distinguished School Award that accept local and Gulf countries application. We have also the Distinguished Project Award, and this is where we stand today. And we have the Education Supporting Organization, and this is again a local, will accept only local application. And the last one, Best Educational Research for the Arab and world level. So here we include in this one why we have 9, because we included the Arab and world in the same category because they are related to the best educational research application. Of course, you would like to learn about the statistic of winners for the past cycles. Here I'm presenting the last cycle, cycle 22, which is related to the academic year 2019-20. And if we look at the different categories, award categories here under the local, we have different number of award categories, something related to the best practice or distinguished project, others related to the student, some related to educators. So all of them, the number of winners from the local award categories were of a total of 3,019. And the number of application and awards winner for the Gulf countries award categories was 291. And from the research, the Arab research educational best educational research was 16, and from the worldwide was 14. So, as you can see, this is really an interesting and also encouraging statistic, especially for those who are planning to submit their application for this year. We really, those who apply who submit their application, they tend to win. Of course, if they meet all the criteria of the award category. Let us see at the timeline when we should consider submission and when the submission deadline will happen. Also the winning announcement when it will happen. For this cycle, for the cycle 23, as a foundation, of course, we started announcing about the different award category in April 2020. We started doing awareness program and campaign for the different category award, and this was in April until today. Also, we are doing one awareness program for the distinguished project category. What you need to know that if you are thinking to apply for the foundation award, then you need to consider that the deadline for application, for submitting your application, will be on the 15th of October of 2020. As earlier of this, and the first day of this month, the electronic online system started to accept any application. So I'm sure there are some people who are attending today already submitted their application, and maybe they have another project to be submitted to the same category. So they need to consider that they need to submit their application before 15 or maximum on the 15th of October 2020. After you submit your application and we receive all the application in the electronic system of the foundation, we start the evaluation process. The evaluation process will start normally on the 24th of October for all the categories, either they are local or Gulf-related category. And later on, after we do the initial evaluation, because we have two steps for the evaluation. One is considered as primary or initial evaluation, and the second one will be the secondary or the final evaluation. So as a judge, I will evaluate the document on the 24th of October, and later on when we have the total points received by each of the applicant in the first or in the initial evaluation, then we nominate some for interview, face-to-face interview or online interview, and some, like the distinguished project, will require a field visit. In this case, this field visit and interview will happen between November to December of the year 2020. At the end, of course, when we finish all the evaluation, we'll submit the names of the winners to the foundation, and the foundation will be eligible to announce all the awards winners and by the end of December 2020. How we can submit our application in the online system. I'm not sure if you are aware that the foundation has changed their system for the past 2 years to be submitted online. All the application will be submitted online and cannot be submitted by hand or through a mail to the foundation. This is just like a phase of enhancement and improvement in the process that is followed by the foundation, and also to make your life, we want to make your life easier. So instead of photocopying, trying to put everything in flash memory, sending them to the award foundation and being worried if they have received them or not, now it's easier from a click of a mouse and from your home or office, you can submit your application. First of all, what you need really to do to go to the website of the foundation, you need to download the application and as well as the explanatory guide. Later on, you need to read the application very carefully, understand all the criteria. Before even the criteria, understand the eligibility. Are you eligible to apply or not eligible? Do you fit this category award or you don't fit? Once you understand and you choose which award category you will be applying for, then you need to plan. Of course, to plan how you will draft your application, you will need to fill out the application, and once you answer yes for each of the items, you need to prepare the evidence that will go into that specific item. So arranging your file is an important aspect of the application. And later, once you are ready, you have your PDF file or PowerPoint file or Word document file. You are ready for submission. You can enter the website of the foundation or the website for the submission of application, which is tahkim.ha.ae, and submit your application electronically. As I mentioned earlier, submission should happen on the 15th, before the 15th of October from this year. To avoid any technical issues, I would recommend that you prepare yourself to submit your application before even the deadline, because sometimes due to unknown reason, we try to upload in the system and the system does not allow us to upload, either because of the type of the document that we are trying to upload it, or sometimes because we are using a very long name for one single document. So to configure and to figure out how you resolve this technical issue, I would recommend that you don't wait until the end or the last date of submission. Try to submit your application 1 week before the deadline, because also I think you have a save function where you can slowly submit your application, and then just before the time you can click submit. Also in Tahkim website, when you enter there, we have a hotline. We have a number where if you are facing any technical issues, you can refer to. We have also email that you can use to send any inquiry if you have. After you submit your application, I said your application will go through 2 steps of evaluation. First of all, evaluation for the documents that you have submitted, and later evaluation through interview and field visit. So in this slide, I will talk about the evaluation stages. First of all, we have a regional evaluation stage where we, after receiving all the application, we will evaluate them, and this is from the old system. If we are receiving the application as a hard copy, then each Emirates or in each country of the Gulf, let's say Gulf state, they have a coordinator, and this coordinator will revise and make sure that the application is eligible to be submitted for that specific award category. So this one, regional evaluation, does not more exist since we are receiving all the application online. So now what we do actually, we receive the application online and we do central electronic evaluation. What do we mean by central electronic evaluation? This means that all the award categories, the 9 award categories, will be evaluated at the same time, even sometimes in the same place. We will gather as evaluators, and maybe sometimes in a hotel, other times in the foundation, and we will do, each group will be responsible for evaluating a specific category. After we finish this stage, then we are moving to the field visit and interview for those who are eligible. And you will know who are eligible, those with more than 80% or 75% of the total points. Later on, the foundation will announce the winner, maybe by phone, social media, by reaching out through a text message, and then what's exciting and the most exciting step is the celebration for honoring the winners. This is where the winners will be honored by His Excellency His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. For the evaluation process, I would like to mention that in the first stage of evaluation, out of 1,000 for each award category, we will be giving points. In the initial evaluation, whatever points that you have received or your application received, it cannot be considered as the final result, because we have also a secondary evaluation where we do face-to-face interview or field trip. Field trip, like by visiting schools to evaluate their distinguished project, or sometimes to evaluate the administration of that specific school in one of the Gulf region countries. So whatever you gain in the initial evaluation, which happened as a central electronic evaluation, it cannot be considered as the final point, because the evaluator or the committee who are evaluating your file, they can either increase or decrease the point in the second stage of the evaluation. So what will be considered as a final point is the point after the field visit and after the face-to-face interview. So anyone who will get 75% or more of the total point will be nominated for face-to-face or for field trip visit. And anyone who will get more than 80% of the total point, they will be considered as winners for the specific for this cycle. Now we reach the time where we need to define and understand what do we mean by distinguished project. This is a very important slide, because if you understand what do we mean by distinguished project, then you will be able to evaluate your current project, if it falls under this category, or you should consider another category from the foundation 9 different categories. What we mean by distinguished project, we mean that it's a collective academic or educational achievement that meets an academic or educational or even social needs. So whatever you have in terms of a project, this project should serve the academia, should serve the educational process, or should be for the need, should be established for the need of the society. Why it's established? Because it will resolve a certain issue, like resolving a problem, or it's an let's say not inventor. I will not say it's a new project. It can be an existing project, but has a pioneer and original elements, which is considered to be a project that is original and pioneer in its concept and also in its implementation. What do we mean by concept? We mean by the idea. Is this project pioneer? How we do? Then one of you will ask me, how I can know if my project is pioneer? How can I know if my project is original? What you need to do, and this is one of the items in the planning phase of your project, you need to do some kind of research, either book research, research from research or scientific research, or even through the internet web. You need to do some initial survey or initial research to try and figure out if similar project is already implemented either in the country or elsewhere. If you find that your project or similar idea is existing, try to add some element that is different than the existing project. Because of that, it's very important that your project, the one you will submit for the award category, it should be original and it should be pioneer in two things, in the idea or the concept and also in the implementation. So the concept or the idea of your project should be pioneer and should be original, which means there is no equivalent or similar idea in the field, and also in terms of implementation. And this slide, I like this slide, of course. Why I like it? Because it do encourage anyone to submit and apply for the award for the foundation, for the different award category. For this specific category, if you get more than 80%, if you are one of the winners, then you will receive 40,000 dirham. And plus, not only 40,000 dirham, but also you will receive certificate of appreciation and you will receive excellence trophy. So three things, if you are winner, will be given to you: money plus certificate plus trophy. However, for those who got a minimum of 80% of the total grade, they will still be winners. No one will lose in Sheikh Hamdan bin Awad Foundation. Everyone is a winner. Since you submit your application, then you are a winner. So for those who received a minimum of 80% or less than 80%, then a certificate of excellence will be given to them. And for those with a total point that is less than 50% from the total point, they will receive a certificate of participation. So every one of you will be a winner. But I wish that I can see you in this category. All of you, and there is, by the way, if we receive 30 projects and 10 of them will be are winning, the award foundation will not tell us, okay, choose 5 only out of 10. No, there is no specific number for those who will win. So I really encourage you to submit your application to the award. And really, I would like to see your names or your project names, one of the winners in this year. Let's see what you need to consider in terms of participation. First of all, you will ask yourself, am I eligible to apply to this specific award category or not? First of all, are you related or belong to a university? Do you belong to a college, academic department within a college or within a university? Are you affiliated with public, which means governmental or private school administration? Do you belong to applied technology institution unit? Are you part of a Ministry of Education central administration? If you say yes, then you are eligible to submit your application to the Distinguished Project Award. Remember, Distinguished Project Award, it's limited to the application of the local people, not the local in terms of national, but I mean anyone who lives in the UAE. We cannot accept application from Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, or any Saudi Arabia or any part of even the Arab world. This specific award is a local award. So we accept because in the Distinguished project, we require field visit. So for those schools, normally most of the application that we receive them from the schools. So in this case, the second evaluation will be a field visit or trip to the school. Because of that, it's a local based category, award category. Just as I mentioned in the definition, the project submitted to this award should be original in its idea, and also it's a pioneer in the field. You need to do some search, as I mentioned earlier, to see if a similar idea is available. Then you need to pay more attention to the concept, implementation, to the different element of your project. You need to try to present it as a newly developed or even has a different element, and it's you can distinguish from the available similar ideas or project. Your project should be applied for the award. Foundation should not be the one that you have received or applied for awards either locally or internationally. So this project should be for the first time is submitted to the Hamdan bin Rashid Award, should not have been received any award previously, either locally or internationally. If you have a project and this project was awarded last year or before 2 years, then forget about submitting this project, the same project, to Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Award. Also, one single entity, which means here we are referring to school, academic department, administration, college or university, or even educational zone, is eligible to submit only one project. If we are talking about a unit or administrative unit, either this administrative unit belongs to a school, to academic department, to university, or even to a zone or Ministry of Education, they are eligible in submitting 2 completely independent projects per cycle. Independent project means that not the same project. They can submit 2 different projects. However, any school can submit and participate with only 1 project per school. If I have a university or a college that has 2 branches in 2 different areas, each branch can submit 1 specific project. They are eligible to submit 2 different projects for each campus or each branch. The submitted project, you need to make sure that it did pass through 3 conventional scientific phases, which means here we refer to the phase of planning, phase of implementation, and phase of evaluation and outcomes. So we cannot consider a project as project if it did not go through these 3 elements. So I need to have enough evidence to show to the evaluators that my project has passed through these 3 phases, which are planning, implementation, and evaluation. Also, a project should have a sufficient time, which means 2 academic years prior to the year of the award. So you should have started your project not from early this year, not from yesterday or last month. This project should have been started 2 years back other than the year of submission. Here we are in year of 2020, okay? So your project should have started either in year 2017 or year 2018. Why we are emphasizing in 2 years prior to the year of application? Because of the 3 elements that we discussed or that I illustrated earlier. The project should pass through planning, implementation, and evaluation. Evaluation cannot happen after 1 month of planning or implementation. It requires so that you can see if it's feasible, if it's effective, if it has positive or either negative result. You need really a minimum of 2 years. The project also idea should not be shared or implemented by any entity such as university of ministry. What do we mean here? If you belong to a ministry, like you are a school that belong to Ministry of Education, then your project should be different than any project directed by the Ministry of Education. For example, if now the Ministry of Education is saying that we need to educate our student using online system, okay, or online learning. So this is actually was enforced by the Ministry of Education. You cannot say, okay, I have an online teaching system or learning system that I need to apply it for the award category. If you will apply this, then you need to show that it's different than the one that's enforced by the Ministry of Education. In another word, the project should not belong to the Ministry of Education or to the university or to the educational zone. It should be a pioneer and original project. Project also, I mentioned also, this earlier, the private sector multi-campus or even for governmental sector multi-campus entities, schools or universities or college, we accept 1 project per campus. In this slide, I would like to discuss some important notes related also to the application. If you get to know these points, then you are safe, and during the screening of the initial screening for all the application, your application will not be discarded. Rather, it will go for the first stage of evaluation. So first of all, you need to submit your application before the deadline, which is the 15th of October of this year, through tahkeem.ha.ae. This is the 3rd time I mentioned the deadline for submission. Secondly, you will see that in the application of the award or the project distinguished project, all the items was formulated based on a question. So if you say no, then you need to go to the next question. If you say yes, then you need to provide supporting evidence for that specific question or element. Each question considered as a criterion. For the items where you said yes, you provide supporting evidence. Then, as an evaluator, I will look at your evidence. If your evidence is conveying stronger proof that yes, you have done this step in your project, more score you will gain. You will gain more score. I will be giving you more score or even a complete mark if you are providing strong evidence that show to the evaluator that you have really implemented this step or this criteria, or you fulfill this criteria. In case you want to add, you think that, okay, in this section, I cannot add more. I can only summarize what I have achieved. However, I have plenty of evidence. I have to explain it more further. Then you are eligible to do this. However, you need to submit it as an appendix or as an attachment, further attachment. Sometimes we have a number of, in the system may have a number of wording that you can include or you can write. If you think that you can provide extra details for this specific criteria, then you can do that by writing up everything you want in a Word document, convert it to PDF, and then attach it to that specific criteria. You can use either PDF, Word document, PowerPoint, it's up to you, as long as we can download them. Also, all documents provided by you as a participant will be of a property for the foundation. So since it's online, there is no harm to submit any copy of your document, but remember that all the documents submitted will be the property of the foundation. Let me drink water. Earlier, I said that the project should start 2 years before the current cycle, before submitting to the current cycle. So when you provide any evidence, like let's say your project plan or strategic plan of the project, then you need to submit the evidence not for this specific year, but from the beginning for year 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. When you submit, let's say, an evidence that belongs to a decree or formation of the team members, then this need to be stamped, need to be signed, and also some of the evidence you should write your number so that in case of further elaboration we can contact you. So all the evidence submitted should be signed and stamped by your director or head of unit or principal of school or chairperson of the department. Don't forget to put a date. Dates are important. Sign it and stamp it, and also put your number. As a requirement for any award category, we have pledge and declaration. In this, in each application, award application, you will see one page for the pledge and declaration. You need to copy this page, write your name. Here, maybe you would write your project name, then your name if you are the lead person in your team, your signature, then here the person in charge, which means either the school director or principal of school, the head of the department, your supervisor, any person who are your direct manager. Don't forget the stamp and the date. After you fill this form, stamp it, date it, then you can upload it in the electronic system of the foundation. I mentioned several times that if you gain more than 75%, then you are eligible for the second evaluation, which involves face-to-face interview or field trip. We mentioned also if you get more than 80% of the total points, then you are a winner or eligible to be one or to get and receive 40,000 dirham plus excellence certificate and trophy. How this can be calculated? It's actually calculated from the total point of each of the category award. For example, for the Distinguished Project Award category, we have 3 elements: project planning, we have implementation, and we have evaluation and outcomes. If you remember, when I was discussing the criteria of eligibility, I mentioned that the project should pass through the 3 scientific phases, which is the project planning, project implementation, and evaluation and results, showing that you have evaluated your project and you are showing the result out of this evaluation. So for the first phase, the planning, we are dedicating 370 points. For the implementation phase, we are dedicating 310 points. For the evaluation and outcomes, 320 points. In total, 1,000 points. So if you get 80% or more out of this 1,000, which means 800 points or more, then you are a winner of this category. Inshallah, all of you will be winner. The most important section of today training is this section, where I will mention each criterion plus what do we mean, what is expected as a participant, what is expected from you, how you need to formulate and answer each of the questions. You remember I said all the criteria is based on, is formulated as questions, and then you need to answer either by yes or no. If yes, then you need to provide an evidence. So let's go through the different project phases. For project planning, we have almost 14 sub-criteria. I will take you through all of them, and then we will move to the project implementation, which has only 5 sub-criteria, and later on to the project evaluation and result, or evaluation and outcomes. For the project planning, first of all, it's very important that you have specified goals for your project. Here we are saying, have the project main objectives been stated? Have you stated your main objective? Of course, you should say yes. If you did not do this, then don't continue. Because one of the major elements is that you have a project objectives or goals, in another word, goals, and these goals should be formulated as based on the principle of SMART. When we say SMART goals, here we mean that they are specific goals, they are measurable, they are achievable, they are relevant to the project or relevant to where I belong, to the Ministry of Education, to the school, and they are also time-specific goals. which means that a goal will be evaluated or will be achieved in a specific time. Let's look at the different element of the goals. What do we mean by SMART, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific? When we say that you need to formulate your goals to be specific, this means that as an evaluator, once I read your goal, it should be clear, should not bring any misleading information. I will know exactly what do you mean and what must be achieved out of this goal. If we look at measurable, for each goal, you should be able to measure your goal by using different measuring evaluation. For example, are you going to assess if the project will enhance the score or will enhance the educational score of the student? Then to assess the educational score, you need to do this through exams, through quizzes, maybe through oral examination. This is where how you will measure your goals. So each goal should be clear. As an evaluator, I must know what you are intent to achieve out of this goal, how you will measure this goal, and your goal is feasible and applicable. Also, this goal is in line with the objective of the Ministry of Education or even the objective of your school. The goal should be specific in its time, so it will be achieved in a specific time. I hope that I gave clear understanding for what is expected. So if you have, it's better that you have limited number of project goals rather than having 10 or 11 project goals and none of them are SMART goals. So try to formulate your goals in maybe 4 goals is enough. A maximum of 5 goals is enough, but make sure that you consult your colleagues, you consult somebody else if they can read these goals and they assure you that they are SMART goals. This is very important, really. Even if you will consult with your manager, your line director, it's important that you make sure that what you have formulated in terms of objective or goals for project, that they are SMART. Have the purpose of the project been identified? If we go back to the definition of the distinguished project, we said that it should be formulated to solve a problem, of either this problem related to educational, academic, or even social needs. So, what is the purpose of your project? Why you are presenting this project? Why you have invested in this project? So here you need to mention and better that you write clear description of the reason behind the formulation of your project. Is it related to solving a problem, finding a solution for existing practice? For example, now we are in the era of online learning. However, many of us does not know really how to deliver it in a smart way, how to engage maybe our student in this online learning process. Maybe you have found one system or methodology to increase the interaction between the learner and the person who will deliver this lessons. So you are developing a practice for an existing problem. Or in some cases, you are trying, your project is will support the directive either of your school or the Ministry of Education. So you need here really to emphasize what was the major objective, not only objective, the purpose of your project. Explain the project purpose. The third criteria, have the human resources for the project been determined? Since we are talking about a project, either it's in a school, college, university, or even administrative unit, or of a zone of Ministry of Health, here we are talking about a project, which means that involves a human being, that involves team member, which has one leader. So how you chose your team member, how the team member were chosen? Is it based on their qualification, based on their experience, based on their contribution towards this project? What kind of elements that you have considered when choosing your team members? So you need to mention who's your team member, what are their roles and specification, do they have specific experience, specific qualification. Maybe here you need to include their CV also. So try to find evidence or supporting evidence for each element of the criteria. Okay, here we identify, we explain how we identify the team member. Later, has the project team been formed? Here, the question is emphasizing the formulation of the team member. This formulation should be original formulation, which means that is authorized by the higher management of your entity. So if you are a teacher and you are involved with other, with the student, with your teacher colleagues in this specific project, then the principal of school should have signed a decree that specify who's in that specific project. It should be dated, it should be stamped, and also role and task. Each of the members should be specified. For each project, we need, like now in your school or in the college or in the university, we have organizational structures which say that, okay, for a university, we have chancellor. After a chancellor, we have vice chancellor. Under the vice chancellor, we have deputy vice chancellor for research, deputy vice chancellor for academic affairs, deputy vice chancellor for student affairs. Under those, we have provost. Under those, we have chairperson, we have deans. So you need to show us this organizational structure of your project. You have project leader, maybe under this project leader you have a project manager or coordinator. Then maybe you have different groups, subcommittees, maybe committees related to marketing, committee for finance, or committee for let's say managing the daily operational task. So you need to have organizational structure. You need to have a documentation that this team was formed officially. Officially means here that it was stamped by the head of the department by the director of the school or principal of school. It was signed and dated. This is a very strong evidence for this criterion. Let's continue. We are still under the project planning. I mentioned it's almost 14 sub-criteria. Has the project execution plan been clearly and fully drawn? Clearly and fully drawn. You need really to read carefully the items, understand them, and then start answering and providing the supportive evidence. Since here we are talking about the execution plan, we are expecting from the project team to submit clear and defined plan for the project, at least 3 years plan from 2017, let's say, to 2020. Maybe you will have for each academic year a plan, and you know our plans always stays the same, but maybe allocated budget, time frame, activities will be different for each year. So I need to submit a form or a schedule that specify that I have as a project clear and defined plan. This plan, normally we have vision, mission of the organization. Then I have one plan for one of the main objective of the organization. And then I have set of goals. You remember our SMART goals that we have defined. Because of that, I said to you, it's better to have 4 to 5 goals rather than having 10 to 20 goals. It will be easier in formulating your plan to have a specific number or limited number of goals. So I have planned with specific or SMART goals. I have also success indicators for each goal. So by the end of this academic year, we will achieve, let's say, 70% of this goal. We will achieve 80% of this goal, or we will achieve 100% of this goal. What do we mean by success indicator? The success indicator here will show the expected result that will clearly indicate that your goal has been achieved. The rate of achievement for your goals. Also, within this plan, you need to include the measures. What kind of measures that you will follow to, for example, to make sure that you achieved your goals. You need to specify the responsible person. You need to have some kind of activities or initiative for each goal. They should be, each activity should be timed frame, in a specific time frame. Some activity will require financial aspect, others will not require any financial commitment. So time frame, duration, sometimes you can say, okay, this task or goal will be finalized in a duration of 6 months. Some goals will be finalized in a duration of 1 week. So for each execution plan, there are several elements. One of them goals, to have success indicators, measures, activity, responsible officer, time, duration, financial aspect of this plan. So better that you formulate and you include. Don't forget that you stamp this plan, you sign it, and you date this plan. For the plan, we expect that for each academic year, you submit a separate plan. Then the other criteria have the expected benefit of the project been identified. Earlier, we have identified the goals. We have identified the purpose. Now, what is the benefit of establishing this project? What do I mean? What is my purpose? So in this case, for this specific criterion, we need to clarify the positive aspect of our project, why we are implementing or why we are planning this project. Either these benefits are material-wise, I'm inventing, let's say, a system, I'm providing a solution for a problem. Either it's something that I can sense, or something is intangible, which means I cannot sense. Okay, maybe I can contribute to one of the principles. I can contribute to something like problem solving or improvement in the academic performance of students. Or we expect that a new learning method can be implemented. So in this type of things, you need to specify what is the expected benefit from this project. Here we specified the benefit of the project. Let's also explain or put into, we are planning. So in the planning phase, always I put the positive and negative for the planning. For each proper planning of any project, we need to expect, are we going to face any risk, any obstacle, any challenges, and if such challenges were faced, how can I overcome these challenges? So in 1.7 criterion, here the question is saying, have the difficulties and risk of implementing the project been forecasted? So are you thinking of something might happen, might not happen, but it could happen? And alternate plans being drawn. So if you are identifying risk or difficulties, then you need to specify how you will overcome these obstacles. So it's always better for this criteria that you provide a table. In one column of the table, you have the obstacle, and in the other column, how you will overcome this obstacle. Let me give you an example. In some of the project that is always implemented in the schools, sometimes we face a problem of spacing. Yes, I have a perfect project plan, perfect idea that will improve the academic performance of the student. However, I don't have the laboratory or the space that I can implement this project. In this case, my obstacle will be space or location of my project. Then in the next column, I need to think about solution, how I will overcome. Maybe I will write a letter. I will seek the help of the principal of the school, or maybe I will seek the help of the director of my zone, educational zone, or maybe I will ask for outsider, like a stakeholder, sponsor, to contribute to this to solving of this challenge. So in this item, you need to identify the risk and the challenges that your project may face. Also, you should provide the solution and to how you will overcome this risk or obstacle, or how you will deal with this obstacle. Let me give you another example. Sometimes I have the space, I have the project, but none of my student is benefiting from this project because of the time. So they don't have enough time to spend within the environment of my project. In this case, the time is the issue. Then I will follow another direction. Maybe I will change the schedule of offering for the activities within my project, or I will seek help from the administration of the school to allow me to take maybe 5 minutes or 2 minutes from each of the classes so that the student visit the project place or location. Okay, 1.8 criteria is saying have the team member practical approaches to providing the project financial and material needs being determined. This mainly, in this criterion, we are asking the team members, different members, if they have conducted any practical activities in order to provide the material and financial needs. Maybe the material will be something like computers, some instrument, some electrical maybe elements of the project, maybe textbook, maybe software. These are the material that may be required for the development of my project. Some of the material may be financial. I need money to develop an electronic system, let's say electronic library. So in this case, what kind of activities I have done to make sure that I'm providing the material and financial needs for this project. This may include seeking help from the administration, from the educational zone, from the Ministry of Education, or even requesting for financial support from a stakeholder or from donor that will help you in implementing your project. I hope I'm clear in my explaining. We will continue again in the project planning, and in this specific item here we are saying if your project confirm with the UAE direction, UAE agenda, or UAE policy. For example, does it emphasize national identity? Is it encouraging your project, maybe encouraging the volunteering work, volunteerism? Does it convey the skill of conservation of the environment and natural resources? Does your project encourage sustainability? So you need to mention here into details what is expected, and if your project confirm with the direction of national agenda and the UAE, or it's in line with the policy of the country. And here we gave you some example, like national identity, encouraging voluntary work, targeting a specific group, or even encouraging sustainability, help with the conservation of environmental and natural resources. Okay, another question in the planning phase. Do you think that your project in line with the modern educational philosophy. What we mean by modern educational philosophy, that yes, my project idea in line with modern educational philosophy, which means that I will show that this specific objective or goals is in line with the learning by experience, or can emphasize learning by observation or cooperative work. For example, if one of my objectives I want from one of my objectives to encourage volunteerism, then I will put all my students, or I will put them in smaller group, and I will give each of them a specific task to volunteer. Let's say visiting patient with cancer and giving them gifts, or maybe providing lecture, providing educational lecture for them. So this called is cooperative work. Sometimes I will deliver things through an active learning, or provide tools for to explain what I want. So there are different tools for modern educational philosophy. I presented for you only few examples, but I'm sure you are well oriented with other tools of educational philosophy, like learning by experience, learning by observation, cooperative learning, or sometimes using some tools to improve and develop higher thinking of skills of the student. So there are different tools for modern educational philosophy. In this, you need to try and show that your project in line with at least one, not all of them, but one of the modern educational philosophy. Also, your project should be in line with the vision of the organization that it is affiliated with. Either if a school is applying or providing a project, then you need to make sure that this project in line with the strategic goals of your school. If the project belongs to educational zone, then it should be in line with the vision of their educational zone. In this one, the evidence should be your project plan that emphasizes your vision and mission, and your organization plan. So mapping your vision and mission with the vision and mission of your organization. Okay, one of the important aspects of any project planning is to consider consulting with experts, consulting with those who has the technical experience, with those who can really direct you. Yes, this is right, this is wrong, or this can be adjusted. Where expert and or consultant being approached during the design and implementation, for the design and implementation of your project. Have you consulted with any expert? In this, we need really supporting evidence that yes, you have consulted with X, Y, Z, and each X, Y, Z gave this report for consultation. Yes, they provided not just thank you for a wonderful idea, but they have mentioned the positive, negative, and improvement plan for your project. This is what we need from the consultant. This is what we expect from an evaluator or from an expert in the field. You need here to illustrate with evidence that you have met or you have consulted with the expert and specialist for the project planning, designing, and implementation. Have the project team members practical practices for researching similar and relevant project has been manifested. You remember when I discussed the distinguished project definition, I said, how do you know that your idea, concept, and implementation is pioneer or original? How you can do that? By doing some practical practices for searching of similar project. So this can be done through field visit, through searching the scientific resources, through searching the web, and it will be advisable that you provide a table that shows your the similarity and the similarity between your project and other available project. Similarity and distinguish, not only similarity, what your project has different than the other available project. So attach a table that will include field practices and explain the reason behind it. Why you have done or you conducted this search. This is really important. Have you done any marketing plan for the project, targeting interested parties? For any project, when you do a project, you need to have marketing plan. You need to sell the idea of your project to the maybe the audience, your specific audience, maybe to sponsor, maybe to people who can promote more the objective and to promote the benefit out of your project. Here the team member need to explain how the project will be marketed and published. You can use maybe social media, you can use newspaper, maybe you will meet just to advertise for your project. Maybe you will do an TV interview just to give a highlight about your project and how the community or the target group will benefit out of your project. Maybe you will do some flyers, brochure, you will distribute them in shopping malls. So there are different marketing strategy for each different project plans. Maybe if your project in a school, maybe you will advertise your project among other schools so that they follow you, they follow your steps, they maybe contribute in distributing or implementing this project in their school. So there are different ways of marketing. By marketing, we finished the 14 element of project planning. This is the first element of distinguished project. Now we will move to another 5 criterion that is related to project implementation. And project implementation, we need to highlight if the project team was prepared and trained for the implementation phase. So in this case, I will need to provide supporting evidence that I have prepared and trained my team members on how to implement this specific project. Maybe if my project concerning online learning, distance learning. Maybe I will give them, let's say, Blackboard training in how to deliver their lecture. Maybe I will give them training on how to design a practical or virtual tour to laboratory. I will try to give them training for how to build their interactive session, to conduct exam online. So these are the type of example that I can give in this case. However, the training activities will depend on the idea of your project. Have the detailed procedure stated in the project plan. You remember in one of the items under project plan, we provided a detailed plan that state our goals, the project goals, state the success indicator, state the responsible person, measures, initiatives, financial aspects, duration, and time. For the project procedures, we need to provide here proof that our project was implemented, and all the planned procedure that were mentioned, we mentioned it in the project plan, is reflected as an actual implementation of the project and reflect that the goals is being conducted or the goals is being achieved. So it also gives the implementation of the procedures and the attached evidence, providing that a clear picture of the evaluator of the project progress in actual way. So that if you provide a plan for procedure, plan for implementation, then you are showing to the evaluator that an actual implementation has happened for this specific project. Okay, during the implementation of the project, we need to follow some of the modern techniques for the project management. What do we mean by modern techniques for project management? Here we are saying that, okay, I need to emphasize or to do SWOT analysis, which means that I'm going to, out of this project, to specify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats of the project. Maybe, okay, I don't want to use SWOT analysis as a management techniques for my project. I will use positive and negative. Maybe I can use the Outlook program to emphasize the different aspects of the project. Maybe I can use brainstorming, focus group. There are different procedures that you can conduct to in terms of project management. You can use the drawing of sequence of event like Gantt for the management of the project. Why we conduct management or we follow project management technology? This in a way that to identify obstacles, to identify threats, and to overcome, to see what are opportunity to overcome and improve this project. If we don't do some or follow some of these techniques, then I will fail at the end when I do the evaluation and present my result. I will see that I have not achieved my objectives or my goals. So better that I conduct, maybe even for focus group, maybe I conduct focus group for the team who developed this project, another focus group for the from the my target group, if they are my let's say my student, maybe another focus group from the parents to see how the project has affected their kids positively or negatively, what other recommendation that they recommend to improve the current project. So better to identify the best good practice in managing the project. Through the process of project management initiative, you will be able to identify and observe initial remarks, okay? Either these remarks, they are positive or negative. And of course, if they are negative, you need to try and to take the needed action to overcome these negativity or these obstacles. So, and this, they are related to each other, these two criteria. Have initial remarks about the project implementation been instantly recorded? Everything you notice during the implementation process, you need to record it. Let's say time was not time allocated for this specific activity is not enough. So better to include instead of 5 minutes, we need to increase this activity to 10 minutes. And also you need to once you identify the initial mark, you identify it for the purpose of improvement of the current project. When I said, okay, I noticed that the student, they are enjoying this activity, but they are not benefiting that much because we allocated only 5 minutes for this specific activity. So better for a greater benefit, we increase the time to 10 minutes. So in this case, I observed that the time is not enough for this specific activity. Because of that, I'm increasing the time allocated for this activity. So in another word, I'm increasing the benefit out of this activity. The other point, have the project implementation difficulties and solution being identified. When you record your initial observation, sometimes those observations are obstacles or they are actually difficulties. If, let's say, I said, okay, I can observe that 20 students does not fit this room. We need a bigger room or bigger space for this specific activity, let's say art activity. In this case, I'm identifying that space is one of the difficulties that I'm facing. In the next column, I will say, okay, I will maybe provide extra space, or I will divide my student in 2 groups. Maybe I will, instead of having 20 students at one specific time, I will divide them into 10. So group 1 and group 2. So we need, you need as a team, as a project team, to identify the difficulties during the implementation phase, and also to show how you have solved these difficulties, how you overcome these difficulties, what was your practice. And it's really preferred that you provide a strong evidence that you have this was the difficulty and this is how we overcome it. By this, we have finished the second stage of the project, the implementation stage or phase. Now we go to the project evaluation and outcome. Any project should be evaluated, and not only evaluated, but I need to show the outcome. Either these outcomes are positive outcome or negative outcome. Let's take the first part here. project evaluation. For project evaluation, I need to specify the tools that I have used to evaluate my project, and also not only the tools, but also to show the result out of these tools. Let me give you an example. For example, if one if one of my objective is to increase the academic performance of my student, then here I would like to learn if a single activity has improved their academic performance. Let's say either I use pre-test and post-test. So in the pre-test, there is a set of questions, and similar. Those questions will be asked before I do my activity, and the same question will be conducted on the same group after I conduct an activity or lecture or awareness program. In this case, I can see if what I have presented in terms of awareness program or lecture was something of a benefit to my targeted group. This will be noticed by analyzing the pre-test against the post-test, because in the pre-test here I tested their initial knowledge. After I conduct my activity, I again testing the same knowledge, but after I did my intervention. So in this case, either I will see that this intervention or lecture or workshop that I have done was not of use to the student, or did change their knowledge and improve their knowledge. So an example for the evaluation tool will be pre-test, post-test, will be a survey. It can include also periodic reports. If you are using, let's say, laboratory, you are using a specific equipment, then you prefer to do a periodic report that the time of usage for this specific machine or this specific laboratory. Also, sometimes evaluation for a project could be done by the target group or by a consultant or by a visitor, by giving you a thank you note, letter of thanks, and emphasizing the objective and the benefit out of this project. So you need here to provide a supporting evidence for the tool, empty tool. If it's a survey, then you need to provide the survey. You need to provide an example of filled survey, and not only that, but you need to present the result and outcome of this specific survey. So if you have conducted a survey, let's say on parents or school student, then you need to provide the tool, and against this tool you need to report the result out of this evaluation survey. Please, 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 for the result, do not only provide bar chart or table showing the result only. This will not mean anything for us, because we need that you present, yes, the total numbers, you present the percentages of different item result, but at the same time, you do have discussion for each result. Interpretation of result is required. We cannot read. Yes, we can read the result, but it will not make sense if you did not provide any description for each graph or table. that you have provided. You need to tell us what you have observed after this, after implementing this project. You need to tell us, yes, I can see from this graph, you can see that 90% of the student has benefited out from the project. 75 of the student after the first academic year, their grades has been increased in English and mathematics, let's say. This is just an example. So don't provide only the tables and the graph, but also provide explanation, interpret your result, provide what you can see strong out of this evaluation. Okay, you remember when we mentioned earlier the project plan, we said that we should put objective, set of objective. We should put also success indicators. Now, since we are in the evaluation part, we need to check, did we measure our success of indicator, how much we have achieved out of our goals? So has the success indicator been measured for each project objective per the previously stated outcome? Here you need to show the percentage of achievement of this success indicator, and most probably this will be can be identified through the use of the evaluation tool. Have the project benefits and outcomes been identified? Here, because you are evaluating, so you have observed some items, you have observed some obstacle, and you have stated how you will overcome these obstacles. Here, in the phase of evaluation, you need to illustrate the benefits of the project. You need to show us with evidence that yes, this project is feasible, this project was successful. Maybe as part of the supporting evidence, you can provide and upload electronic letters, thank you letters, thank you cards from your target group. Okay, if you have out of the evaluation, you have specific outcomes. Have you utilized these outcomes to improve the project? Here you will need to identify the evaluation result from the survey that you have conducted or from the periodic reports. You need to emphasize how you have employed these outcomes in developing your project. Of course, you don't want to stay at the same level. You want always to expand and to provide these facilities to maybe a larger group, to maybe expand a little bit to include other activities to improve in a way that will improve the project performance. So where future solutions and treatments are put in place for all previously mentioned weaknesses, you observed some weaknesses and obstacles. Have you treated them? Have you overcome them? In addition to the development and improvement points for the project that lead to increase efficiency and effectiveness, you need to show that this improvement will make our project more effective and more efficient. Have the project outcomes and positive effect being compared against its financial cost and personal effort? To show that your project is the best project ever, you need to make sure that you provide a table showing the financial or human related effort in this specific project, and also comparing those comparing this to the benefit of the project. So you are in another way showing that the benefit and the objective or the benefit out of this project exceed our effort as a human being that were dedicated to this project, and the finance aspect of if you have chosen if you have spent, let's say, 5,000 dirham in buying a specific software or device, the objective of your project exceeded the 5,000 that you have spent in purchasing this material. So here you need to show two things: that the financial effort that you have spent to plan and implement this project lower than the positive outcome of the project. Also, the effort of the human being. Yes, they are dedicating some of their time in monitoring the student, teaching the student, observing the implementation process of the project. However, what we, because our benefit out of this project exceed the effort, the human effort that we are spending. So two tables need to be provided. One showing the positive result of the project and the material cost, and another one showing the positive result of the project and the human effort. Have the project weaknesses been determined? Of course, you need to determine at this stage after implementation. Now we are evaluating the project, maybe after the second year or the third year of implementation. For sure, there will be weaknesses. I need to identify these weaknesses with evidence, showing an evidence of these weaknesses, and not only to identify weakness, but also to put remedial procedure and solution to overcome these weaknesses. I will go back with you to the first phase of the project. And the first phase of the project is the planning phase. In that phase, we said it's important that we discuss this project, the planning and implementation of our project, with expert or with consultant or with a person, a mentor or a person who knows more about this topic. So now, after the implementation process of the project, again, I need to consult with a specialized person, with a consultant, to maybe, I think this will come later, but in this item, have any specialized personnel or entities contributed to this project evaluation? Yes, here we need to consult with a specific person to evaluate our project. Maybe we can ask the director of educational zone to visit our school and to check the project and to evaluate. Evaluation of the project can't happen by only taking photographs. Photographs can be a good supporting evidence for other elements, but for this specific element, you need to show the report of evaluation. And please, in this report of evaluation, people tend always to show the positive side of the project. You need, as an expert, when you evaluate a project, for sure you will highlight the strengths of a specific project. Then you will highlight also the weaknesses of the project, and you will highlight how we can improve these weaknesses. So the technical report should emphasize all these strengths, weaknesses, and enhancement process. So this is how you need to look at when you choose your consultant, when you choose your evaluator from the field. You need to choose somebody who will give you a very clear and objective report, okay, and advice. So mentor, you will provide the report. You will provide maybe a table stating that more than one expert or technical expert has evaluated your project. You will put their name, affiliation, their field of expert, and then their evaluation report. Okay, after receiving the reports from the evaluators, you as a project team, have you incorporated any of their ideas, of their suggestion, of their opinion to improve your project or no? Have you read their reports? You're supposed to read the report, and you're supposed to really identify the weaknesses point and maybe identify their suggestion point, and based on that you go back to your project and you implement what they have said. Maybe not everything, but what you can, what you are eligible to do, or based on your human effort, based on the financial, based on the material resources available for you. Maybe you cannot incorporate all their opinions, but you need here to really show that their opinion was of a value to you. You have incorporated some of their opinions and observation. This is in 3.9. You remember when we said there should be a marketing plan for your project? I told you one of the example, you market your project to the nearest school or to the nearby school, to other schools, so that they implement this project. You expand your project to these schools. Here you need to emphasize who benefited from your project after it has been marketed. Is there any of the school nearby, or maybe if you are presenting a distinguished project in Abu Dhabi, is there any school in Ajman, Dubai, Sharjah who implemented the same project as your project because they thought it's a project of benefit to their student? So here you need to show, to attach a table and show the parties that have benefited. Maybe not only school, maybe colleges, maybe universities, they have benefited from your project, maybe, and maybe non-governmental organization, maybe non-educational organization. So anyone can benefit from your project. We need to see here who benefited from your project and in what basis, and which means in what sense they benefited from your project. Did they implement the whole project, the project as a whole, or they took one aspect of your project? Also, you need to show if there was any additional outcome that has been recently mentioned after the project evaluation, but this was not previously conceived, or you did not not really measure, or you did not state as a positive or a benefit that you will see out of the implementation for this project. This is an unexpected outcome which was not planned. So you need to state the unplanned project outcomes with evidence. Maybe this can be of stating that more students are coming and visiting your project, so emphasizing that there is an increase in the demand for this project, or maybe the project has added a qualitative additional value. Maybe you require to change the size based on the increase in demand, the size of the maybe allocated location or allocated space. These are because you did not expect that this will happen. You will do these measures, you will take these measures. Have aspects of distinction and creativity of the project been identified? Of course, after planning, implementing, and evaluating, always we said that this project should be original, should be pioneer in its concept and in its implementation. So you need to illustrate the importance aspect of the excellence and creativity. How creative is your project? How excellent is your project? In terms of the novelty, is it novel? In terms of concept, in terms of implementation, is it different? You need to really say that, yes, my project is a unique project, is a novel project, is an original project in everything, in the idea, in the way of implementation, in the way of planning, and even you can see it's evident from the evaluation outcomes. Is there any future perspective for this project? Are you planning to expand maybe your project to cover other educational zones? Are you planning to increase the number of people who will benefit from this project? What about the promotion and marketing procedure? Is there maybe in the beginning your marketing was only including social media platform? Now you will go for TV, newspaper, maybe you will create and establish a website, internet website for this, dedicated for this specific project. What kind of improvement and future plan for your project? This should highlight the future outlook for the development plan of your project. It should somehow present that you are expanding in the idea. Maybe you are including extra activities for your project. Maybe even you have created a plan of expansion for this project. Maybe in terms of space, you will go wider, maybe not in the same location, but also you will have other branches. So here you need to emphasize and illustrate your future expansion plan for your project. By this item, I have finished explaining the criteria of 3 elements. They are project planning, project implementation, and project evaluation and outcomes. I hope that you still understood everything that I have highlighted. They are very important and you have taken note for these elements. For each of the sub-criteria, please make sure that you provide evidence. The more evidence you put, the more grades you will take. Here in this slide, I would like to emphasize that due to the current pandemic phase and era that we are living in, the foundation, Hamdan bin Rashid Foundation, they have updated their condition. They have actually included a new criterion for all the award categories. Either you are submitting for your application for distinguished project or for, let's say, distinguished educator, distinguished student, they have added a total of 200 extra points. You remember we, in this specific criteria or award category, we said that we have planning, implementation, and evaluation. All of them, they have 1,000 points. On top of this 1,000 point, the award foundation, they increased or they added another criteria, which is a total of 200 points extra, so 1,200 points, based on a very specific condition. And why a very specific condition? Let me tell you about the condition. First, the innovator or presenter need to present their effective initiative that contributed directly to the continuity of education in light of the current pandemic. They should attach 3 evidence, extra evidence, part of the 200 points. This evidence should not be used previously in any of the planning, implementing, or evaluation criteria. So the evidence should not be repeated in other criteria. This evidence should highlight that the participant or the applicant has contributed to the continuation of or dissemination and sharing of knowledge through during the pandemic crisis by using maybe virtual platform or distance learning. Okay, I think by this I have finished this training workshop, which was dedicated for Distinguished Project Award criteria. Please note that this is the telephone, fax number, award, electronic website, their email, and their social media account. You can maybe take screenshot of this. This is very important. As a beginning, you will need to go to enter this website, internet website, where you will download as a first step your application, and you will start submitting, reading, planning for the submission project. Thank you so much for your concentration, and I welcome any of the questions now. Thank you so much.
Doctor, we have two questions. If you would just answer the question, please.
Okay. What kind of questions?
I have 2 questions. Could you kindly let me know if the award includes students who receives the PhD degree?
Yes, the award can include PhD degree student, master degree student, as long as they are affiliated to any of the local and private university or colleges. Yes, they are eligible. However, I would like really to emphasize that the project regardless of who is submitting the project, they need to make sure that it did pass the 3 conventional scientific phases, which is planning, implementation, and evaluation and outcomes.
The second question is regarding the distinguished project. Does it include a PhD level project? Because the in the application form it's not clear. Thank you.
Here, if I understood it right, does it include a PhD level project? This distinguished project is not dedicated to scientific research project. We have other awards specifically for research. We have the Arab Research Award. We have the UN Best Educational Research Award. However, this is mainly for a project that has processed or went through 3 phases. You have audience also, you have targeted audience. It went through planning, implementing, and evaluation. It's not like an experiment. I don't know what kind of PhD level project you have, but you should have an audience that you are conducting this project to. So a target group rather than an experiment in a laboratory. Maybe if you don't mind, can you email a brief description of your project for the award so that we can assess this further, and we will direct you if you will be eligible to apply for the award. But really, I would love to see projects coming from students from colleges that belong to colleges or university in the country. It will be really fantastic, because in the previous years we are receiving only from schools. You know, schools sometimes they do a lot of projects, like projects related to environmental sustainability, so they end up involving the whole school environment in that specific project. They present how they utilize the water, let's say the wastage water out from the AC in irrigating the plants, and then they are planting organic food, and from that organic food they are using these to do preserved food like jam, pickles, and doing beside this educational awareness for the nutritional value of those organic food. So you can see that the project is really starting from a basic element and ending to involving not only student or teacher, but also the parents or the community next to the school. So this is the way of school project we are aiming to. Why we are calling it distinguished project, because it should be really a unique project that has a target group and that has an outcome, positive outcomes. Yes, Ms. Khawla. Is there any other question?
We don't have any question right now. I think this is all.
Okay, if there is any other question, I'm happy really to respond to these questions, and we can guide those PhD degree students in how to formulate their project in a sense that it can be accepted or it can be eligible for submission in the award category. We
can end the session if you Actually, we don't have any question, but if you want to end the session, it's fine, Doctor.
Okay, that's fine. If you receive, please, any further question, I will be happy to respond to them. Thank you again for attending our today training, and I hope you have benefited out of the information that we discuss. And hopefully I see you as a winner in this coming cycle. All the best. Bye-bye.